Hi YouTube, so you join me here today from Millets Farm, which is the site of our pick your own Dahlia field of dreams. Now it doesn't look very inspiring at this time of year, but check out this video footage of what it will look like in 6 months time. Ta-da! We have 10,000 Dahlia plants planted at our pick your own farm, and we're open to the general public 7 days a week from August right the way through until the end of October, and we have over 50 different Dahlia varieties to choose from, so it's absolutely magical place to be, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. Here's our little welcome hut. Makes me feel a bit sad seeing it like this, but I know that it's got lots more colour and joy to come. So our pick your own site is based at Millets Farm, which is in South Oxfordshire, and it's a really popular destination for families because they've got a soft play, a garden centre, they've got a lake, a cafe, a farm shop. So we're really lucky to have this in such an amazing site where there's already a huge amount of footfall. So in total we've got 36 rows here. We've got 18 on one side, on the left-hand side of the bus, and 18 on the other side of the bus. And there's roughly 280 tubers planted in each one. We ordered 10,000 Dahlia tubers for this field, and they get started off in polytunnels, in pots, in March, April time, planted in the soil at the beginning of June, and then they will hopefully flower, all going well, from the middle of August until the very last weekend in October. If not, we might even get the first couple of weeks in November, but that's on a very good year. I often get asked what's in the sheds, so I'll show you. I'll take you inside this one. Ah, lots of crates and pots and poles in that one, which is great. We've got lots of staples down there for the membrane. So we lay membrane between each of the rows, which keeps the weeds down, but we spend an absolute mental amount of money on weeding this field from June until we open in August, and the weeds grow faster than the dahlias. So this year we're going to membrane the whole thing, and we're going to plant the tubers into the membrane, which I'm really excited about, because then hopefully once we've planted the tubers in the ground, we won't really have to do that much. Watch this space though. Last year was our first year of planting the tubers directly into the ground. And because we had such a wet spring, we couldn't get the tractor in to create the furrows until middle of May. So the tubers went in much later than we would have liked. And that had a massive knock-on effect to when they actually flowered. And then obviously then to the revenue and the profitability of this field last year. So on a good year, for example, we could be open for 12 weeks of the year, which would be great. On an average year, on a mediocre year, maybe on a sort of average, we would get 10 weeks. But last year, because we directly planted them out into the soil in the middle of May, which was too late, and we didn't start them off in a polytunnel, we only got 6 weeks. So you don't have to be a maths genius to work out that out of a potential 12 weeks, to only get 6 weeks of crop is not great. And that was partly to do with the rubbish weather that we had, but also we could have got round that by planting in a polytunnel. And in previous years we planted in a polytunnel and hasn't made the blind bit of difference because we've had pretty good summers. Last year was a rubbish summer, made a massive difference, and then massively affected the takings from this field. And the same amount of effort, energy, tubers, everything goes into it, but you only make half the money. So that's a tough lesson to learn. So this year what we'll do is we'll plant the tubers in the polytunnel, in pots in March, plant them into the field in June when the soil's nice and warm, and then hopefully we'll get a crop from the middle of August right the way through till the end of October, and hopefully even into November. The weather last year didn't help us on either side. We had a rubbish summer in terms of heat and warmth, and then we had an early frost, so very short season, which was a bit demoralising. I think the good thing about the winters is that you've got time to really reflect on what works and what doesn't work. And I think even if it costs a lot of money up front, you just have to give yourself the best possible chance of getting the maximum amount of crop from any given year. And the only way we can do that is by planting in the polytunnel, which takes a lot of labour and time and effort. But even if it saves you one extra week of her flowers, then it's worth doing. So that'll be in March. That's not even that long. People always ask us at this farm what we do with the tubers at the end of the year, and for the last 2 years we've run a very successful event called Dig Up Your Own Dahlia Day, which is amazing. So we sell the giant jumbo tubers off at only £5, and they're massive, but you have to come and dig them up yourself. So we clear quite a lot of the field like that, but nowhere near all of them. So this year we've left them in the ground. Last year we dug them all up and they all rotted because of the terrible weather we had, the winter that was very wet, and then they all froze. So this year I'm going to get my spade out of the car now and have a look and see what's happening to them. So the thing is, if the tubers in the field survive the winter here, we've got a lot of tubers then, which is no bad thing. But if these tubers do survive, then what we'll do is, I think the plan will be, I'll dig them up with a spade, put them into crates, create the furrows, and then chuck them back in, because I reckon there's probably 5,000 tubers in the ground here. And it's very, very sandy, which means it's really well drained. And we haven't had a really deep frost so far, although I know, but now I've jinxed it. But let me dig up one of the tubers here and have a look at what they're like compared to the ones at Woodstock. So this one here has got one squishy tuber which we can cut off, but the rest of them are really firm, so that one would survive once I'd cut these rotten ones off. It's just a case of whether it's worth the risk. So over there is the polytunnel that we're going to be using this year, which is the Halloween tunnel, but at least we haven't got far to take the dahlias when it comes to planting them out. And I thought I would show you the soil here. I mean, literally you could probably build sandcastles out of this. It is so sandy, especially down the bottom field here. And we're quite fortunate in that there's a reservoir on site, and we've put a pump in there, so that pumps the water up the field and then through the irrigation lines, and then that waters the field, because we've learnt the hard way as well that dahlias are not drought resistant after all. Now let me give you a little sneak peek on the Dahlia Beach double-decker bus. It's not looking its best at the moment, so you'll have to excuse the mess. But downstairs serves as a shop when our Pick Your Own is open, and that's where we stock all of our merchandise. And on the top deck we've got a huge bench where we do all of our Pick Your Own flower arranging workshops. Does not look as glamorous as it does in the summer, but we had this completely refurbed last year, which is quite exciting. I got my own little driver's seat in pink, obviously. Yeah, and we got all this racking put in, which is great because we can put all of our merchandise on it. I'm not sure why we've got this greenhouse staging in here, but the membrane has gone in here for now, just to keep the place looking a bit tidy. So that concludes our little mini tour of our Pick Your Own at Millets Farm. There's lots more exciting stuff happening over the next few weeks with the arrival of the tubers, and we've got a really exciting lineup for our event schedule, which I'll be talking about in the next few videos. So stay tuned, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. Bye guys.